Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome to this week's episode of Steelers Touch Down Under. I'm Matty Peverell with Marky Davison as always. How you doing, mate?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Steelers Touchdown Under. Mate, I'm doing really well. We're coming back from a bye. Did you have a good bye? Good bye. Did you?
Had a good bye week. Had a good chat with Shannon White in your absence, but still missed you, mate.
Yeah, I tried catching a bit of that, and then I got too busy. But Shannon's a bloody legend. Did you bring up any big news or anything like that, or did you just kind of have a chill podcast?
I would say a bit of both.
Okay.
A bit of a mix.
Cool.
Yeah. But look, one thing it is in the US today is it is Veterans Day, and we call it Remembrance Day down here. You know, we celebrate at 11 a.m. on the 11th down here, down under. But obviously, just a big shout out to all veterans, all family members of veterans, and we should all be very appreciative of the freedoms we have and not take it for granted, because there are places around the world where that is not the case, or people are fighting for that, and it, there are definitely things in the future that could continue. So, at least from the Australian side of things, from you and me, Mark, big allies, Australia and the US, and I look forward to that continuing. And thanks to your service if you are a veteran that's listening out there.
Yeah, 100%. I'm just waiting for, the allies to continue with us and give us a job over there. Like, just, because we've been doing the podcast so long, I think they should just instantly give us a green card. Don't you agree?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Is there a clause that you've done the podcast for, say, 3 or 4 or 5 years, and then, next minute, like, oh, by the way, here's your green card, here's your entry to the States? You're allowed in?
It's pretty hard, so...
Yeah, it's something it is.
I think George Teston said he spent 11 years in the Navy. That's incredible, mate. Thank you very much for your service. Yeah, no doubt. Steelers freak, 28 years Army, better than prison. Well, there's definitely some, like, we've got some Steeler fans in here and some of our regular listeners. It sounds like they've spent time, pardon me, in the armed services. So, yeah, it's incredible, and thank you for your service. And, for our regular listeners that listen, like those that listen live on Facebook and YouTube, obviously you might be doing something else on this public holiday, but look forward to you being able to catch up the show as well. So, yeah. All right, well, Mark, basically, I mean, as usual, there's sort of an injury report, an injury update. On the Steelers side, William Jackson III, the new acquisition, is out with a back injury. Not really. I'm not surprised by that, but I know I saw like a bit of people on social media in articles got a bit surprised about that. And I kind of sit there, I'm like, he had a back injury at Washington. Tomlin brushed it off. It's disc related as someone that's got some back issues himself. They do flare up. When they flare up, you got to take it day by day. I'm kind of not surprised. I also think this takes the pressure off him a little bit in learning the defense. But with Keller Witherspoon out as well, obviously he got benched a couple of games ago. But it's still a challenge for the depth at cornerback. And then Malik Reed is questionable. He was limited on Friday. I think you'll see him play. It said excuse for personal reasons. Who knows what's going on there? But hopefully he plays. I would think he would. And then Kevin Dotson is questionable as well with an abdomen injury. And he had limited practice on Friday. They put nothing there on Wednesday, Thursday. I still continue my gripe each week about injury reports, and that is that, like, do not practice, limited practice, full practice. I'm sick of seeing dashes. Like, if you're out of practice, you're out of practice for whatever reason. I don't understand this.
I don't really get it either.
I just think this is stupid. As I said to Shannon last week, for a league that is so heavily regulated, I cannot understand how every team has different designations. It's just ludicrous. On the Saints side, Marcus Davenport's been battling a calf injury all week. He's been limited Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They'll probably give him up to game time to play. He's questionable. Mark Ingram is out. Jarvis Landry's limited practice. There's someone that finally punted him off my fantasy squad. I don't trust Jarvis Landry to play, but it doesn't say that he's out or questionable. Marshawn Lattimore is out. That's really helpful for the Steelers. Abdomen injury. He's had do not practice 3 days in a row. Eric McCoy's out. Their center. Their starting center. Andrews Pete, their guard. I think he's their starting guard on the left side. He's out. Ryan Ramczyk was limited Wednesday, Thursday, but full on Friday. They need him, or I don't know what offensive line they're putting together there. Pete Werner, their linebacker, who's more of an outside linebacker. Well, I think they play a 4-3, but anyway, he definitely rushes the passer at times. He's out. Marcus May is questionable, the safety who had that really good season a couple of years back at the Jets. They've got a defensive end that's questionable, and PJ Williams, their safety, who's pretty important in their secondary and how they mix it up there. He's questionable too. So the Saints are a little bit battered and bruised. Let's just put it that way.
It's a lot of injuries, mate. Let's hope it works out for us in that regard. So, did we talk about? Did I miss the news with you, with my mate Chase Claypool? Did I share that with you? Did I share that experience?
I'm not sure. We can do a little bit of a rewind.
Celebrate good times. Come on. Celebrate.
Mark's never allowed to sing it. Mark's never allowed to sing on this podcast again.
Oh, well, you know what? I should have TikToked my way out of here. I know it's been a long time since it happened, but we haven't shared the moment together, and I just wanted to share the moment. He's like a Muppet together, because Chase Claypool's gone. You're gone. Back to the pavilion. See you later, mate. So happy he's gone.
I don't know if our American listeners will get back to the pavilion.
I don't think the American.
Because that's a cricket term. That's a cricket term, mate.
Let's be honest. Do you guys in the live chat? Do you understand what I say? Be honest. We bring up stuff all the time. I don't know. But I'm just happy he's gone, man. I'm just so happy he's gone. And his first few reps as a Bear, he got 2 receptions, 16 yards, and 1 carry for 6 yards. He's not good, and I'm happy we got second back for it. I'm happy we give Steven Sims a chance too. I reckon Steven Sims will have a chance to go up.
All right, I'm just going to say, I reckon people are overlooking Boykin, man.
Oh, Boykin as well. I just chose one of them, right? Boykin as well. He's played receiver
unleash
before.
Boykin, and you've got a good 4th, 5th wide receiver for another 2 or 3 years. But hey, this is a good segue into the this week. I mean, I talked to Shannon. Shannon and I did the usual record prediction stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I think you and I, let's see how this week goes, because I think we could sort of rejig it there. To me, this is make or break. I don't want to hear about the Steelers can go on this run and they did 11-0 and all that. To me, it's my opinion, after chatting with Shannon last week, thinking about it for a week, if you can't win this week with that many injuries with the Saints, if you can't show something better after a bye week and prepping for 2 weeks, I'm sorry.
Exactly.
This is done.
That's the point as well. I think for me, the stuff for me is like preparation. You've had 10 days off to prepare for this game. If you don't win this game and be prepared to go out there and fight and win, like go out there and have a chance to be competitive, then what's the point in being in the NFL? 10 days preparation versus an injured Saints team versus Andy Dalton. Look, the Steelers are -1. They're underdogs at home still. So you need to be prepared for this game.
No, I was a bit surprised. I was expecting it to be more from the betting companies. I'm interested to see how it actually floats here in Australia with the numbers. But you take that bet every time. Come on.
If they're not prepared for this game, right? To me, it's it's a joke on the coaching staff and the organization and the players. You've got so much time off. Okay, go and enjoy your family 3 or 4 days, have your time, but then come back to the office. There's 7 days to go and prep for the game. That's what you're meant to do. So I don't understand how, if they come out flat, because we've seen it so many times where they come out flat. Although Mike Tomlin is, I think, 11-4 after the bye, so that's encouraging. And of course, if TJ Watt comes back with cars, he's been activated. Andy Dalton's going to have a hard game against our Steelers defense, hopefully, and hopefully our spark on offense can light up.
Yeah, and what I was thinking as well, which is kind of a different storyline, but the same storyline as well on Matt Canada, right? It kind of got me thinking this week, and I was like, we've all been talking about Matt Canada being sacked, right, at the bye week or going through the season. I actually don't think so. I think it's this week, right? Hear me out on this one, right? So you've got the bye week to prepare for 2 weeks. This is the week at 2-6, where if you don't win this game, you're 2-7, right? You can't finish with a winning record. Are you going to continue to do damage to Kenny Pickett and not see enough from Kenny Pickett, George Pickens, etc., right? Or are you going to go, you know what, Canada, we're not doing this anymore. We're not playing to make the playoffs anymore. Yes, we've still got to compete to win every game, but the reality is, you need to see development. You want to see development of Kenny Pickett. I mean, I heard the narrative this week. The Steelers will draft, Bryce Young. They're not doing that. That they are not doing that. If they get a pick that high, it's Will Anderson or it's one of the cornerbacks, the top tackle. That's what it is. And I still think you trade back and pick at 8 or 10 if you're picking 3 or 4, get more picks. You just need as much talent as you can get. But to me, Kenny Pickett is only going to go backwards in this offense unless they start winning. They are. They're wasting a rookie year of Pickens, Warren, and Kenny Pickett, and Freiermuth on a rookie contract, right? So for me, this is the week. If Canada wants to continue coaching in the NFL, this is the week you stump up. But if you don't, then
it's almost like I've been yelling out Matt Canada fire so long, I kind of gotten over it. I'm just kind of expecting him to be
same there. Until I thought about it this week, and I was like, actually, no, it's this week. And Tomlin's a pretty fair guy. He'll give everyone that final chance. You know what he said with the season? You remember what he said this season? It was when he played development and when you make decisions, and he was like, it comes to a point when well, this week, if you lose and you designate yourself as you can't finish at 500 or better, that's when you know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. With the preparation, it's kind of frustrating to know that you have so much time to prepare and change things. And, you go to the office every single day like it's your job. And if you were to, any other job in the world, you probably would be sacked for being not competent, right? And Matt Canada's offense, and the players are to a part too, but his offense is 32nd in the league. We're really bad. So that's why I think, with the stats and the Vegas line is they're probably putting us underdog because we can't play on offense, but we have to win on defense, but we just got to see something different. And we're not going to see that with our offense. I'm excited to watch the game as always. It's going to be at 5 a.m. for sure. I'm keen, but part of me says, can we score 21 points? Can we score 3 TDs on our offense? Did you know that we haven't? The longest TD we have is 8 yards.
Mate, what about this one? The receivers have 1 passing touchdown, and the running backs have 1 rushing touchdown.
Wow, is that right?
One on one, that man.
Wow. Okay, that's.
You know what they should have done? They should have traded. Apart from the fact that, I don't want them to do this because I want Bolts to be the starting kicker. They could have traded Chase Claypool for Justin Tucker to the Baltimore Ravens, right? Because he wouldn't have done anything for them. And then also, on paper, it's oh wow, but we know that Claypool can't catch a high ball. But the reality is that we need to kick field goals to win points. And now Paul Boz is on the injured reserve anyway.
I know he's got the groin injury for 4 weeks or whatever. But that is really crazy how. Back when I was living in Canada, I think it was about 2016, 2017, the offense was firing, AB was the Matavius Bryant day, stuff like that. Big Ben was out there, moving the ball up and down the field. Le'Veon Bell was scoring 35, almost 40 points a game. It was on fire. Now this offense can't score, can't move the ball down the field to score anything. And Michael Malley says, "Sad, we got to pray for 20." And that's what I mean. In the back of my mind, I go, I want to choose this game to win. But then you think about it and you go, well, they haven't done anything in 9 weeks. They haven't moved the offense, and they scored 2 touchdowns on the offensive side. One rushing. Who was that? Najee, I guess.
Yes.
Najee, and then receiving was Claypool, right? Oh, also you had Derek Watt caught one.
Yep.
That's bad. It's so bad. So when we all kind of know it's bad, but you're right. Maybe there is a bit of a, I guess. One last chance for Matt Canada.
I've heard people say things like, "Oh, if they don't fire him at the bye, they're not going to fire him," and Kenny Pickett, we don't want 3 offensive coordinators. It's not work. It's not good. How could it be worse?
Yeah, I kind of get that though.
Do you know what I mean? I don't understand it. I know there's a narrative this week. Big Ben said on his show that he'd be happy to be Fine, bring him back to advise for 8 games. Give him a chance. Prove a deal. Mike Sullivan, I don't know, whatever. But
I don't think
want to see this anymore. It's very hard to. It's not.
It hurts
you,
right? It hurts you, doesn't it? I don't think Big Ben will come back. He doesn't want to be involved in this mess. He doesn't want to be involved in what's going on. But I think with the Steelers won't get rid of Matt Canada because they've got only 9 games to go. But they don't normally do that.
You've got to lose. That's the bit I don't get.
I agree with you. But
You've got 2 head coaches in that room. If you can't, and there's plenty of people sitting on the sidelines, like even people talking about Frank Reich, bring him in as a consultant for the rest of the season. Like I don't know. Like I know there's a whole installing a new offense or whatever, but or give Kenny 25 plays. And put no huddle in there. Give him 25 plays for like 5 different scenarios.
Yeah,
let him. You know what? Let him call them for a while, and then if it's not working, when we can go back to Canada's crap.
I agree with you, but I just think the Steelers won't do that. And it's like you can think of all these ideas, like I want to see Connor Haywood, Frymouth use more. I want to see Steven Sims, like you said, Miles Boykin use more. But you start thinking these ideas and it doesn't happen. They just go back to the normal.
What's the definition of idiocy? Even TJ Watt said it. Kenny Pickett said it. Kenny Pickett said it.
It's 2 and 6. That's what it is. He thinks. I think Matt has a big ego. He has a massive ego in this.
He does. I said this to Shannon last week on the show. The way he handles media, as someone that. Like literally what I do for a living, get media coverage from the company I work for and teach people how to speak in the media. And I've done so for like 12 plus years in my career. He is atrocious. It is like the arrogance, the sarcasm in the way that he delivers. It's just bad. And you know what? It's bad. Like it's actually, this is a hard one to say. It's even worse than his offense.
Yeah. I don't like his mannerisms, how he always talks. He looks down and he's not confident. He's not confident in the way he delivers things. His body control, that's like a receiver thing for Chase Claypool. His body mannerisms are looking down. He's like, we're doing okay. It's like, look, stare at the man who asked you that question. Be a man and say, actually respond with a truthful answer. And you can't do that because it's a really bad offense.
And he says nothing. Like, I don't know we're talking about Tomlin saying lots without saying anything, but here, Canada just says stuff like, we're going to get better. Well, what proof do you have? Like, you should be saying our efficiency of X, Y, Z, tells me this of where we're improving. Like, it's just, Eric Askew literally beat me to the punch. How his ego fits the size of that comically large straw hat.
You know what though? Like, coming off the bye, I think as a Steel fan, you go through all this stuff. You're like, oh, we got on the hype train again. You're ready for the game. But I will be very annoyed if I see the same plays from the beginning, right? However, you do want to see if this stuff can work. And you've got a rookie quarterback, you've got a rookie receiver in Pickens. A guy like that, like Matty, why aren't they using him? Like, why aren't they using the big body George Pickens who's actually physically upset and pissed off that he's not getting any time? Not getting the ball. Why aren't they getting him involved? Is it that Matt Canada can't figure out how to get him involved? Like, he hasn't got the skill set?
I'm not sure it's that. I mean, it might be. But I had I'm literally reacting to this in real time. Like, I hadn't thought about that point before. I just thought more that there's a few misreads here and there on Kenny's side, but also like they're not designating him as number one. They're preferencing. I think they over preference Claypool, and I think they preference Deontay in a way that his performance to date doesn't really deserve this season. To me, George Pickens is the number one wide receiver on this team, and it is. And you get him as much ball as possible, get him game reps, leverage, make this season worth it in some respect, right? Let's get them ready for a really great off season and really great year next year, with hopefully an offensive line that allows Pickens time to get down the field and Pickett time to get him the ball. But I think part of it's the Matt Canada offense and the arrogance that we just talked about, to be frank, now that we've brought it up. Because if you think about the way they would want to use Pickens, that doesn't fit the Matt Canada offense, right? If you think about the way Todd Haley would have used Pickens. Think about the way Ken Wisenhunt would have used Pickens. And in particularly what you saw from Wisenhunt at the Cardinals, what you saw from Wisenhunt when he was the offensive coordinator later on at the Chargers as well. Like, you just think about the way, I mean, even the way Frank Reich would use him and what Michael Pittman does. But, I think Pickens has much better potential as a wide receiver overall. Like, he can do everything. I don't think Matt Canada's offense is capable of leveraging the talents that a George Pickens has.
Well, they don't send him down the field, do they? They do a few comeback routes.
And Pickens could do some of that like slant stuff on the sideline. I'm not saying he can make the catches that Pickens can make, but you've got to get Pickens is that wide receiver that you should be putting all over the field in every different role. Like even in the slot, like the problem is they've got no other burners on the sides, right? If they got another burner on the sidelines, you could scheme Pickens into the slot on shotgun plays, and he would absolutely obliterate teams. Absolutely obliterate them. Like particularly when you've got Freemuth, you got those like it's very.
That's what it comes down to. There's so many weapons what we can see, and it's like it's not fitting the mold, is it? And you can't just keep doing the run pass or the run slant or whatever it is. It doesn't really work, and that's why his arrogancy is so high right now. Being 32, having 14 points a game, it's all other teams modified him already, right? There's some reason the Steelers keep him around, and
I think this is going to be a slide on Mike Tomlin. Like Michael O'Malley says, when do we finally put the blame where it belongs? Tomlin has been mediocre for a decade. He is the main problem, stale bread. I'm not ready to go on the fire Tomlin train. I'm just not. But this is Tomlin's fault at this point with Canada.
Oh, 100% there's responsibility for sure.
I mean, Mike Tomlin also damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. But that's why you get paid over $8 million a year US to be the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. But like, I just can't understand. And I didn't want to deeply talk about Matt Canada this week, but when we got on the show,
let's move on.
I can't. All I'll say is I can't understand why you wouldn't have sacked him. I don't think you had anything to lose. What I think you've lost by not doing it is you've lost the season because if they win this week, the defense will come up with a few turnovers. Kenny or someone on the offense will make it just an outrageous play. That's the only way they're winning this game. Like, it's not because Matt Canada's offensive scheme. As Boswell said it rightly.
Yeah, it's so true now. Every day it gets truer and truer, doesn't it? No, it's not going to be because of the Claypool pass to Derek Watt. But let's move on then. Let's talk about, I guess something else, and maybe how can what players do you think can step up then in this game? Like overall,
I really like Jaylen Warren. I don't know about this narrative that he's better than Najee Harris, but I'm not thrilled with Najee Harris. But then I'm also sitting there. I put this out. You guys were responding on Twitter to someone, or I said it on Warren, probably both. But like, Najee had way too many touches last year, and we're paying for that now. And that's fine. It was Big Ben's last ride and all the rest of it. But like, if you're back like Najee, like Derrick Henry, they're very rare that a back that big can be the only one. So I'm glad they've found Warren, but they've got to work out. And again, I don't think Canada's scheme fits having two different running backs like this. They've got to figure out with the offensive line who's going to be able to get the opportunity here and what are they going to stick to? Because that's the other thing about this. We still don't have a run game. Like, how long have we been talking about that for? Like 2 or 3 years. Like, it's
since we started the podcast.
Exactly. So that's the other thing on the offensive side. But if I flip to the defense, we're talking about where we're going to win the game there. This secondary really has to perform. Like with Witherspoon and Jackson out, the guys that are on the field, they just have to. They can't allow big games. If they allow big games, this is over. And Chris Olave, you haven't really heard. I feel like in the general NFL media, you've heard deeply a lot about Olave and the way we've heard about other wide receivers, rookies, or the way we heard about like Jamar Chase last year. Chris Olave is having like a sneaky good season for the Saints. Like really sneaky.
Wouldn't it be amazing if we had Pickens that had that same season? Wouldn't it be cool to see Pickens go off?
100. I mean, look, listen to these numbers: like 43 receptions, 618 yards, only 2 TDs. And his catch rate's only 59.7%, but he's had 147-yard game, a 106-yard game. He's not had a below 50-yard game since week 1.
Yeah, and George has 26 receptions, 338, 13-yard average, 1 TD. But that's all average. Every single receiver, Deontay, Pat, George, Claypool, all around 300 yards. There's no real standout receiver. Is there? And they got to, scheme up something to get the ball in.
Imagine if George Pickens, if you took half of those Claypool numbers, right? So assuming you're still on the team, and chucked them over to Pickens, I reckon we will have won some games because I just think he can do more with the ball and he wouldn't have had so many drops.
Yeah, and of course, you've got to go through. Kenny Pickett's got to go through his reads. He might miss a few, but I think the Canada system.
He's a rookie quarterback. The problem is Claypool. How many times does Claypool drop a ball? It goes nowhere.
That's why I'm happy, man. That's why I'm happy. I'm so glad to see him get away and we get that round 2 pick back. I think it's fantastic. And you're all right. For me, for players to step up, I got a good feeling that Sims will step up if they're allowed to play the game. And same with Boykin too. If Boykin's allowed to play the game, I think those guys will step up. I think Claypool was getting, about 40% of the offense going his way and didn't do anything with it. He had one big game. But other than that, this team definitely needs some kind of identity. And it does. The identity right now is you can't move the ball and you have a rookie quarterback getting pressure and throwing interceptions. So the whole league's laughing at us, but they got to get it together. And what better game than coming at home or 2 home games in a row and being the underdog? And they just got to fire up. And I think it's at this point, and we've been saying this for a long time. So it's been a cultural thing. It's been this and this. And our defense can get back at it, but overall, it does come down to coaching. Like Tomlin, and I'm not a fire Tomlin guy either, but I see where they're coming from to a certain degree. I'm not saying you go and fire him, but at the same time, it's just very difficult to watch. And I think it's hard, and we might do our predictions later, but it's hard to say, can they score more than 21 and where do the points come from? But I would love to see a game where Pickens gets involved, where, Sims gets involved. It just all depends on how they're going to call the game, really.
And this is the other. Brian Harrington brings this up, and then we'll have to go up break. But our O-line can't hold the block long enough for Najee to dance around the backfield until he sees a hole. He needs to hit the ground running. But exactly. But Najee Harris is not Le'Veon Bell. That's his game, especially when you look at what Bama do. It's get the ball and smash the hole. Right? Najee should be happy to do. You know what makes Nick Chubb a good running back, apart from the offensive line that they've got there? He goes, I'm going to go right down the guts of the middle of the field. And if I go for 4 yards, great. If I go for 5 yards, great. If I bust it for 8, even better. And if I hit a hole really well and they block for me, I'll go for even longer than that. And I'm going to knock over a bloke on the way, even if I have to get through to the second level. That's got to be Najee. Forget this dancing and waiting for a block. Just go in the middle. Even if you go for 1 yard, eventually it's going to open up. I especially when you've got Dotson and Daniels there. I don't understand. When he starts dancing around, I sit there and I just shake my head.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. That one dance last week was the most awfulest play I think I've seen in a long time. He had 2 yards to get and he danced his way and then got tackled a yard short or whatever it was.
I'd bench him for it, to be honest. He's not the dance. He can dance when he's in space, but that's when you've gotten past the line of scrimmage. No more dancing behind the O-line.
But that's the problem though, because our Steelers, we know our team too well. They don't do that. They won't send a message like that. Of course, they send a message for Claypool saying, "See you later, mate." But they won't send a message and say, "Hey, Najee, we're going to bench you, and we're going to bring up McFarland. We're going to bring up whoever. We're going to start Jalen Warren, right?" It seems like by the time it's already over, like we're too far into the season, then they make the call. They should be making the call straight away. The minute he jukes like that and doesn't make it, yeah, you not cut him. You bench him for a series and put someone else in. And they don't do that. The system it doesn't allow that to happen. But I'm not saying fire Najee Harris. I'm saying put some pressure on him. Same with DJ too. The minute you drop one, what normally happens in a normally rugby league game if you do a bad play, they sit you out or they don't get you involved in the play. Steelers take a long time to do these kind of moves. So I'm keen to see Najee Harris start again and actually run the football, but our longest run, Matty, is 18 yards. This offense is probably one of the poorest ones I think we've ever seen.
Mate, he's only broken 7 tackles this year. Last year he broke 30.
Yeah, and the offensive line was apparently worse.
And last year he had 1,200 yards rushing. How many's he got this year?
I think 400 or something, 300.
361. Yeah.
Jesus.
And we're halfway through the season. Like, he can't catch that number unless he's going to start averaging 100 yards on his
These
own.
podcasts aren't fun when we're losing. Oh man, it was remember the 11-0 run we had? That was way more fun. That was good fun.
And Myrna brings it up. Juju put it best when he learned a lot with the Chiefs and said he learned, and you know, he also you know, basically said like he's learned more this season with the Chiefs than he did in 5 years with the Steelers. And I looked there, I'm like, yeah, think about who we've had in the last 5 years between Randy Land and, you know, Canada, and just it doesn't make any sense.
That's the thing. The Steelers don't change.
They need to bring him back too, by the way. If the Chiefs don't re-sign him, you've got to bring him back.
Who, Juju?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I agree with that. That'd be cool to see. Get him.
And I'll take anyone on that wants to disagree with that. They need someone that's got the Steelers spirit, experienced, physical, can do everything no matter who's out, whatever game. I think him and the slants with Kenny Pickett, please.
He's enjoying his time though in KC. I think he's having a good time over there though.
Yeah, but if the Steelers said, come back, we'll pay you $500,000 more a year, just even $500,000 more than what they're paying him, they'll be back. Man. Juju loves the Steelers. But with that, we're going to go to our little break from our audio sponsors, and we will be back in just a few seconds. And we're back on Steelers Touch Down Under. All right, Marky D. We finished that note with Juju.
Oh, no, not over just yet. I just checked. He's got 582 yards and 2 TDs. He's got more offense than like almost a whole team. Far out. That's crazy. He's doing really
well because I've got him in fantasy. They've only just started using Juju.
44 receptions out of 60 targets and 13-point yards averaged and longest 53. He's killing him over there. Killing him. Man, he's going to have almost his career highest was 1,400 in 2018, but still he's having a good time over there. That's crazy. All right. That sucks.
Man, I'm telling you, man, he's going to have I don't think he can beat the 2018 year this season, but he'll get 1,000 yards easy.
He'll have more yards, I guess, being a third or fourth guy on that team than our first guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, he has more yards than anyone in that. And that just shows you that his comments are probably legitimate, calling out the offense as being bad because he wasn't being used. And this is what's really frustrating about our team right now is like everyone besides probably Tomlin and the Rooneys are saying, "Oh, Matt, he's all right. What's nothing wrong with that guy? He's good."
I don't know how you. Oh no, I'm not going to go down that narrative. I can save that. I'll save that one until the season finishes. All right. People remind me about the narrative that people say, "What's the narrative you were going to tell then before the New Orleans game?" All right, well let's try and be a bit more positive. If the Steelers are going to win this week's game, who on the defense is going to be the game changer?
Okay, is TJ Watt playing for sure?
I haven't listed him.
He says he is,
but as someone said in the live chat earlier, and I could understand this about whether they activate him right before the game.
Yeah.
If he's not, I stick by this. If he's not 100%, you do not play that man. There's too much invested in that guy.
We don't know yet. I'm not even sure. When's the last day you can be activated before a game to play?
Tomorrow, 4 p.m. or something, 3 p.m.
Okay, so if TJ plays, I think we have a good chance to win, of course. Other than that, defense-wise, I like Kazi's back too, but it's his first game coming back. You know what I'm saying? So I think as well, the safety's got to play together too. Edmonds, Minka, those guys. But the concern is the cornerbacks, and there's no Miles Jack. So Myron says it's confirmed. I don't think it's confirmed yet. I think he said it was confirmed. That it hasn't been no activation yet. You know, it's like me saying I could be here next week, but it's not confirmed. I think not until I confirm with Matty, and I'm telling him on the podcast. But I think it's I'm pretty sure he said in a press conference today that he's playing. Or are you coming back? He said yes, but until they activate him, I'm not spoken on that just yet. It's a big thing. Brian says doesn't TJ have to be activated this week, or he's on IR for the rest of the year. how many days does he have left to be activated? That's a big thing too. I don't know.
Hmm.
So
I mean, I'm just going to say this. I mean, you and I have seen this with players in the NRL, like players that played for our team. And I said this on Twitter in a response. I think Eric Askew's in the live chat. You were I think you might have been part of that conversation I had with Jeff Hartman on Twitter. If TJ Watt is not 100%, you do not bring him back. And pectorials can rule you out of a lot of sports for the whole season when you do them, when they happen. Like, same with his knee. And I know, like, even Myrna brings up you can do it, and obviously then you can just you're basically tanking and trying to get picks, and we could do that, and it would be in our best interest. But my thing is, there's way too much money invested in TJ Watt. Put him on, and I can't remember how that affects his salary cap and the eligible years and all that as well. But I honestly, I don't know why you would risk his health down the track right now for where we're sitting.
So you're saying if he's not ready at all, 100%, you would bench him the whole year, put him on IR for the rest of the year, and just play whoever?
Well, if that's the way it goes, right? What I'm basically saying is if he's going to be on IR for the rest of the year, if he's not quite ready for this game, then you've got to figure out if he's worth the roster spot. But we're struggling with injuries anyway to get guys in there. And as I said, if you lose this game, you're not, particularly with the way that the Ravens are playing and the Bengals are playing, you're not winning the division. You're not going to scrape into the playoffs on the records right now. So why would you risk the best player on your team? It's not even just the pec. He had the knee as well.
Yeah, so it's almost like you're conceding with some evidence that is saying that he's not going to be healthy. So you might as well, put him to the side and just go with your team. And it's not officially tanking, but to a certain degree, it's like,
it's not. And I don't want to. And people, that's what I don't want to be part of what I'm saying here, because I'm not saying this to tank. I'm saying this to protect that player.
Right.
I mean, the guy's 28, right? Now, think about most 28-year-olds. I mean, even when you suffer a pec and a knee injury, and you think about the workhorse that he's been, I would much rather him, call it, right? That's what I'm saying. If he's ready, he's ready.
It all depends, though, because we don't know. Like, if he's not activated, I guess by tomorrow, like Brian says there, that he could be on IR. I'm not too sure when his 3 weeks started, to be honest. But with TJ not being activated, then possibility you could put him on IR for the rest of the year and see what you can do on the other side. But you know what? If he is ready to play, then you play him. I think. If he's 100%, you play him. He says he is.
He did the 26th of October, so that's the 3rd of November, 10th of November, 17th of November.
He says he's ready
to
be
activated after the game.
Okay.
Can't he?
So I guess so. It's about 3 weeks.
Yeah, he can be activated after the game. But that's the thing, is if you lose, you don't activate him. If you win, you activate him.
They could do that as well, right? They could.
But I know the Steelers too. Like, even if they lose, we'll activate him.
They'll activate him. They'll do it. That's the thing. We do know our Steelers too well in certain things where they won't change certain players and that kind of stuff. So I think he gives us one of their best chances to win, really. Everyone knows that, right? So if he is activated, then fantastic. It's going to be, hopefully he can go out there and smash any Dalton. But you're right. Why would you risk him to the whole season?
I'll say the example I said on Twitter. Mark and I have a team that we support in the rugby league in Australia called the Manly.
Let's go, Manly.
Their best player is a guy called Tommy Turbo. That's Turbo's nickname. Trebojevic. Tommy Turbo won the offensive MVP. Was it last year or the year before?
Year before, I think it was. Was it?
Anyway, he won the offensive MVP. He's a great defender as well. He's electric like George Pickens.
He's so fast.
Playmaker as well, fast. He has done hamstrings, pectorials, knees over the last 5 years. When he's on the field, he's the best player. Like, he literally played half the season and got the MVP. Like, he's a freak.
He did.
But we keep rushing him back, and he keeps having these injuries. And we saw that with a pectoral that he had. You don't want to see that from players, because now he can't stay fit and he hogs a lot of the salary cap. And now you've got people questioning why he's on our team. I don't want to go down that route with TJ Watt. That's what I'm saying.
You are right, though. Tommy Turbo is our guy for our team too, and then it's all exactly the same. That TJ Watt is our guy for our team right now. The stats back it up. You don't win without him.
Yeah,
You know,
and the
you win one
stats,
game.
and for an example for Steelers fans as well with the parallel, the stats are even crazier in this other sport of rugby league, because that they basically have an 8-point differential when they play. In terms of, they average 27 points when he plays, they only concede 19 points. It's kind of literally the reverse. It's like 24 to like 14 or something when he's not playing. And they've won, they've won a lot less games than what it has been with TJ Watt as a percentage. There's a direct parallel.
Go out there and look up Tommy Turbo, Manly Seagulls on YouTube, and he's fun to watch, dude. He's one of the funnest players I've ever seen to watch.
And can you imagine him in the NFL?
Oh my goodness!
There's a guy that can high point the ball, guys. Like,
oh my, he'd be a good tight end.
Huh?
He'd be a good tight end, I reckon. He could be able to play maybe like a flex tight end.
Well, he'd be a bit like that Carl. He would be what? I mean, he's not quite as big as Claypool, but oh man, line him up next to Pickens.
All right, back on track. No more men.
Back on track. Yeah, back on track. But oh, that's electric, man. Him in space.
Brian Brown says Tommy Turbo sounds like a race car driver in Naked Gun movie.
Well, the funny thing was, he aggravated his hamstring. He was on a night out in the town in the local suburb, and he raced some guy on the street, and he aggravated the hammy. It was like in a bye week. So, Myrna talks about picking the O lineman, Skronowski. I think it's Skronowski that plays for Northwestern. But everyone thinks he's going to be a tackle, but he should be a guard.
I think Myrna's from England with that picture there.
Oh, a bit of a British flag.
I think so. There you go.
Huh. Nice one. Listening to a song. Jeez, it's a late hour over there. Well done. So yeah, go back to the defense. What have you thought about the defensive line as of late, Mark? I know you don't mind the trenches.
Oh boy. Well, I think a lot of it's to do with Ogunjobi being out as well. I think that kind of sucks.
And Liao.
Liao too. I forgot about Liao. Liao was playing really well, wasn't he? Until this happened. Cameron Hayward can't do it all himself. Who's the other bloke on the nose tackle? We had Tyson Lualu. However, it's not really working.
I feel like is it Montravius Adams? I feel like he has had a much quieter season than last year.
Yeah. Overall, I think we do get gashed at the middle quite a bit. And I wish our offense could do that. They could run the ball, through the middle. It seems like we have so many holes everywhere. But it's kind of like with our defense now. On paper, you think, oh, it's fantastic, it's great. I can't wait to see things happen. And then you just get, touchdowns everywhere, big plays everywhere. It's something that it's really frustrating to watch. But that's what I think I'm saying with TJ Watt as well. When if he come back, then you have a chance to really set the scene. Highsmith is doing okay out there, but they're all playing individual stuff. They're not playing as a team. The best game I saw was versus the Bucks against Old Man Brady. That was the best one I saw, where they got to him, and the secondary guys stepped up. The guys that are behind the starters, they really stepped up. But then you get
though, I think it's a real key in this game, because I know what you talked about there, and like I think the defensive line, I think Philadelphia embarrassed them. It's hard for me to pick someone that's going to step up there, but I think Alualu is going to help down the stretch. But Shannon talked about it really well last week, and he's so right. Is that like if you don't have pass rush, if you don't have a good defensive line, then it makes the issues that you have at cornerback even more obvious. And that's where I think the key on the defense of this game comes down to one bloke. And I'd love to say it's Terrell Edmonds. I actually don't think so. I think it's Cameron Sutton. Right. Cameron Sutton is going to be crucial as a cornerback in this game. What he can do and the way you move him around, stopping Kamara, stopping Olave. I like Sutton has to have a big game. This is one of those games. How Sutton gets that interception every like he has 1 or 2 games a year where he gets an interception that just seals the deal or gets him a key turnover. This has got to be the game, man.
I think we have as well in the sack realm. We have the worst sacks in the league right now. From being top 5,
there's no pass rush.
From being like number 1 for like 5 years in a row, 6 years in a row, we're now dead last. So a lot of this comes on what, right? It's so crazy how one player can change everything.
Do you know the other problem with this defense that I have not really heard a narrative of anywhere, and it's a narrative that I talk about a lot for the linebackers because I heard Luke Kuechly talk about this because he feels it's the one number that is never appreciated nearly as much as it should be for linebackers, and he said it's almost that you've got to think of them as worth like 3/4 of a sack effectively, and that comes down to tackles for a loss,
right?
Tackles for a loss last year, we had 94 tackles for a loss.
What do we have this year? 5?
32.
That's right. That's bad.
So we're a third of our number last year, and we're halfway through the season.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Can we start again? Can we just start the year again, mate?
Now, a lot of that when you don't have TJ Watt on the field, that's a big problem. But Cam Hayward had 15 last year. This year he's got 5, right? Highsmith had 15 last year. This year he's got 7. Terrell Edmonds on the list has 1 this year. Last year he had 8. Wormley had 6 last year. Wormley 3.
Here's a question. Do you think that Andy Dalton will go out there and light us up? Old man Andy Dalton. Like the Saints team are pretty average too, right? They're going to go. This is the game that
it depends how many of these injuries they've got, right? Like, I'm going to be really upset if I see Taysom Hill and light up. I just
get what 4 for
Taysom
4,
Hill and Andy
80,
Dalton.
80 yards, 100 yards rushing.
Nah, I can't. I just can't.
50 yards receiving. Oh goodness.
I just can't.
Mike O'Malley says he wants the season to be over. I don't want it to be over. I just want to see him get better.
Brian Harrington says if County gets fired, do we have to pay his full contract off? I don't know, but I would pay.
We'll pay it. You and I will pay it. We'll send him money. We'll get rid of him. I'll send him some dollars.
Oh my God,
over
we
there.
should start a go. I reckon we should start a go.
I don't think they allow that. Oh man, what a crazy guy to have on the team. The coach, Mr. Canada. How bad is it? It's so bad. I've never seen it this bad before, and yet we still have a chance to win this game.
He's got to lose that hat too, man.
Yeah, big time. Alrighty, one more big positive. Then, do you think Kenny Pickett can get his first win?
He has had his first win. You beat the Bucks.
Okay, first start and win. Or what? First full game without Trubisky helping.
Sorry, I had to. I just had to. He can, but his good friend Fitzpatrick has got to get a pick 6.
What's the reason why you hesitated there? Because I know my reason. Is it because of the offensive coordinator? Is that because every time I think about it, I'm like, well, the players.
It's not Kenny Pickett. And Kenny Pickett's playing like a pro.
Right. Why do we do that? And it's like, okay, they have a chance, but the guy calling the play.
I would say there's more than 22 teams in the NFL right now. If you swap their quarterback out for Kenny Pickett, you'd win games and you'd be a lot more confident than what you are.
First downs, get the ball moving. Yeah. It's so frustrating.
Can you imagine even Kenny Pickett with the Jets right now? Swap Zach Wilson out, right?
Playing good football.
With that running game, you telling me that's not...
Even the Seahawks are playing good football with Geno Smith. He's like...
Imagine the Saints picked 1 pick before the Steelers, right? Now, they obviously brought back Winston. Imagine if they'd picked Kenny Pickett.
Oh, boy. They'd throw the ball to Alvin Kamara every down.
Well, and Olave.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But still, they throw the ball.
I'm just saying, when people are like, "Oh, Kenny Pickett's not the goods," I just sit there and I think, how many teams? Imagine the Seahawks with Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, I just said that. Yeah, it'd be fantastic. Fundamentally speaking, they have a good offense, actually working down the field, and Pete Carroll's got he's kind of back. He's been pissed off that they. I didn't think the Seahawks were going to win 3 games this year, and they won 6. I thought they were going to be the worst team in the league, and they've been almost one of the best. Like Geno said, you know what? I'm going to fire up
Miami.
There's so many people. So I'm keen to see the rest of the season how he can play. It's just like he's playing like almost with a big.
If Kirk Cousins can have the career that he's had, Kenny Pickett's a winner, man.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe it's going to wait till next year in year 2. We don't know because this whole system involved. But
And you think
yeah, I
about Kenny
believe
too, even as a person. He busted a gut for 2 years to get up in the draft order. He had a phenomenal season in Pitt. He came in with Pittsburgh with all the expectation. He should have just been named the starter from day dot. I understand
big
why they
time.
didn't. And I know that was something that Dave Schofield would like want to rake me over hot coals for saying. But like, I'm sorry, like
I
just do it, go with it. You have a development year. You see what you got in him. Full stop.
They handled this quarterback competition really
We bungled
bad,
it.
I
We
believe.
bungled it. We bungled it. We're
So
bungling
many
the
ways.
offense. We're bungling stuff on defense. Like, I'm sorry. Like, if there's a team in the
You
in
could
the
have
AFC
won a
North that
few ways,
deserves
right?
the bungles, it's us, man.
Big time. You could have won a few ways. You could have started Trubisky the whole way to the bye. That would have been one way, in my opinion. You could have done that. You could have started as well. I believe you can shoot me down, but I don't really care. You could have started Mason Rudolph to a certain degree and not even go and get Trubisky, but then still have Kenny Pickett, possibly,
Well,
right?
imagine that money that we spent on Trubisky on a cornerback, like,
Right. And you could have have Mason Rudolph as backup. Don't get Trubisky and start Kenny Pickett the whole way through. And they stuffed it up. They
but it's
started
also,
Trubisky 4 games.
you know, these are coulda, shoulda, wouldas. And if you're listening now, you're like, well, we didn't do any of this. But if you're not on the Tomlin train, if you are on the anti-Tomlin train, I will say, I mean, I'd much rather not have needed it. I'd much rather we not needed this moment to see it. But how don't you think Tomlin, even if you think Tomlin's stale and you think he's past it, or you don't think he's trying, or you don't think he's done anything different last few years, do you think Tomlin, after his first losing season, is going to come back and make some of these decisions? Like, he'll have a good hard look at himself. Mm-hmm. I would hope. And if he doesn't, I think 2 losing seasons in a row, they will probably consider moving on. I mean, think about what happened with Marty Schottenheimer, right? Although a lot of the players weren't fans of him. I just on that team, but like I can't see Mike Tomlin coming back after this year and it being like this again. I just don't see it.
Probably not. If it is, then we're in real big trouble. Big trouble.
Right, but then there we're in trouble. Well, the full stop. But like, that's what. But you've got to get something out of this season. You've got to get Pickett. You've got to get it working with Pickett. You've got to get Pickens the ball. Like, there's no point throwing. We know what Deontay can do. He just needs to catch the ball, right? You've got to develop Pickens. You've got to find out if you've got a guy on the cheap like Sims, who we talked about, and Boykin we talked about, that can do something there. You've got to figure out whether Jalen Warren is a true actual depth piece. I mean, McFarland's on the practice squad. Can we bring him in and activate him toward down the stretch? Can we just see what he is? If he's not there, get rid of him. Like, they've got to, this has got to be now. I say you get through this week's game, but this week we've got to start seeing stuff from certain people.
But that's one big thing where at this point they don't make those changes and they just don't do it. Like, why aren't they bringing up McFarland like for a chance? You're going to put him on the practice squad the whole year, and what he can do. That's what's most frustrating is we just see the same results over and over and over and over. So, but should we do our scores? Do you want to do our scores or what?
You want to do a score? What are you thinking?
I'm going 41-0, mate. Steelers win. They finally get out of the barn.
41-0.
Yeah, I do it jokingly, but I looked on the old sports bet that we have here in Australia, and I was like, it's quite a bit of money. It's going to pay for my house. So, I don't encourage that at all. But if it pays off, I might be doing the Kirk Cousins to the gold rails. Not just one goal that I won the other day, but that's going to be every video, by the way. That's my goal. Not 41-0, but possibly 24-21, I'd say.
I'm 24-21.
Yep. It's hard, isn't it? Because the offense can't score.
Man, this is hard.
It's so difficult because they can't score points.
If the Steelers win, it's going to be like 20-16 or 23-16, something like
that. Okay, what if they lose?
If they lose, it's going to be like 28-17 or like 32.
That's the big thing, I think, around every single podcast, pretty much on all YouTube. The offense can't score points, and everyone knows that. And it's like, how do you keep trying to hype?
But you know what? The other team, and the annoying thing is that the other team knows it too. Do you know what I mean? So they only need to get a certain amount up. Then that's it.
Yeah, well, that's the biggest hurdle right now is like they just can't move the football and score. And the biggest TD is 8 yards. So even they haven't scored outside the red zone yet. That's incredible. That's an incredible stat. They haven't scored outside the red zone. That means they're not taking a big shot down the field, like 40 yards deep, going to Pickens or whoever. Like
George Cheston says he's going to do 17-0 with the Steelers with us. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Steelers
that'd be amazing
20s if they can get that. Brian Brown says 14-10.
That could be a possibility. That could happen. Like
if that's happening, it's going to be
like every time I think about this team, I'm so excited and I want to like cheer the players on. And I think back to what they're doing. It's like, oh, it's so hard.
But you know what? We've got to remember the Steelers have had hard times and they have come back. I'm not saying
big time. Big time.
And you know what? Let's just take each game. It's hard. If this is the thing, if Canada had gone, then I'd feel like the shackles were off. That's the thing. It's like Ron Schultz 3-0 Steelers.
If it's 3-0, I'll lose my mind, dude. That'd be
oh my god, worst. Steelers freak 9-6 overtime.
It's fun to laugh.
Actually, I've got it. 11-6 Steelers.
11-6. You get a safety.
Yeah.
Oh wow, 11-6. It's amazing.
Actually, no. Let's call it 9-5. The other way around. We'll probably end up with the safety.
Oh, true. So you want 3 field goals from Matthew Wright from 50 yards out, right? They get 1 field goal and a safety. Oh my goodness.
Actually, what date is it going to be? 13th. You know what? I'm just calling it that. I'm just calling it. No team scores more than 13 points. They're playing on the 13th. That's what's happening.
Someone on Facebook just called us British. That's funny. Oh man, I blocked him though. Goodbye, Tasho. See you, mate.
Yeah, why don't you learn what accents are and realize that the Steelers are a global team? So piss off.
Oh goodness. Ron said 2-0. That'd be excellent. Safety 2-0. Good on you, Ron. All right, man,
mate. What about a 0-0 draw? A double overtime.
Double overtime that'd be imagine.
Mate, that would be like World War. Like I know, like I don't mean to make light of World War I on Veterans Day. I'm just, but seriously, it would be like being that trench warfare. Like it'd just be like they'd be only in the middle of the field.
Wasn't there a chance a few weeks ago there was going to be a double 0-0? I think it was 2 teams. It was Denver and someone, and they scored 3 points or whatever. So I don't know what it was, but I think it's like since 1946, I believe, or something like that. Is the last time it was 0-0 the whole game.
You know what? Like. Michael O'Malley, it's like, remember, Tomlin hasn't ever beaten.
No, he hasn't.
But how many times has he played them, guys? Like
3 times. Yeah, 0 and 3 over different periods, right? Different times.
That's what I'm saying. So it's a bit
completely different with different teams or different teams.
But I'm just saying, like, you can't statistically, that's an anomaly. Like,
yeah, it was 2007 his first game, then 2013, I believe, 2016 or something like that. So.
And Ryan Brown also clarifies his 14-10 with, I'm not sure the offense was 14 points. I was thinking.
Oh, it hurts. It hurts.
But you know what? Still fans, we're all in here together.
We are.
There's some of you in the live chat that are hearing week or week out, loss, win, or draw, or tie, as you call it. That's all we can ask for, right? Imagine if we were a fan base that was, I mean, I can't believe I'm about to say this given Twitter, talking about the Steelers on Twitter. But imagine if we were a fan base that was disjointed and didn't support each other, right? So, that's like one of the pluses. We can go through this together, right? It's collective therapy.
I think the fan base comes to when you go to a bar. I think on the internet can be very different sometimes, like our mate from who called us British idiots. So, but hey, we're in this, man. We're in this. We've got a good game coming up, Saints. We just see what's going to happen. I want to do a post podcast next week where we're happy with what happened and going, oh my, did you see that? Did you see this?
I would love to talk about a win, man. I would love to talk about a win. And not a win because the long snapper got injured. Or, I'd love to talk about an actual, proper darn good win. Or that Tom Brady missed the practice because he was celebrating Robert Kraft's wedding while he was getting divorced.
I
want a legitimate, we beat him.
Yep.
And then I
We
want.
need that.
And
It
I'm
hasn't happened in
upset
2
because
years.
Boz can't say to Matt Canada that it wasn't.
I
his,
know.
wasn't
Maybe
his
Wright will say. Maybe Matthew Wright will go into the locker room and say, "You didn't win because of you." That's going to be the new tagline for Matthew Wright.
Pickett says, "See what happens when you throw me the ball." Like 2 TDs, 180 yards.
We got to hope, man. We got to hope.
All right. With that, that's going to wrap up this week's Steelers Touch Down Under. I'm Matty Peverell with Marky D as always.
Go Steelers.